We're often taught to look for heroes in the most obvious places: the strong, the powerful, the people in the headlines. But what if the one person who could save your life was someone you never even saw? What if a hero's voice was just a whisper you almost missed? This is a story about that whisper. There are certain stories that live on the internet, kind of like modern folklore passed from one person to the next. Over time, the edges get a little blurry, and it becomes almost impossible to tell where the facts end and the legend begins. The story of the blind, homeless girl and the Hells Angels is one of those legends. We can't verify if it ever really happened, but that doesn't take away its power. It sticks around because it speaks to a truth we all recognize: that real courage often comes from the places we overlook the most. This is that story, as it's been told. In a city that was always moving, she was a rare point of stillness. We'll call her Sarah. The legend says she was maybe 19 or 20. To the world rushing by, she was defined by everything she didn't have: a home, a family, her sight. She spent her days on a cold patch of concrete with a cardboard sign. She was a ghost in the city's machine, a forgotten young woman that people had learned to walk past without a second thought. But her world wasn't empty, it was just different. While everyone else saw the city, Sarah heard it. Her universe was a symphony of specific sounds. She could tell the difference between the hurried steps of a businessman and the tired shuffle of someone with nowhere to go. She knew the hiss of bus brakes, the cry of a distant ambulance, and the unique rattle of a loose grate down the street. Her blindness, the very thing that made her seem vulnerable, had given her a unique way of seeing the world. She didn't see faces. She heard the truth in voices, the shaky tremor of a lie, the warmth of a rare, genuine kindness. Most days, the city was just background noise, a constant hum of indifference. She was invisible. But on this particular morning, her ability to listen was about to make her the only person who could hear the storm coming. The sound that announced them was impossible to ignore. It wasn't just noise, you could feel it. A low, deep rumble that vibrated through the pavement and right up into Sarah's bones. 12 Harley-Davidsons. The Hells Angels. To everyone else on the street, they looked like something out of a movie. Leather vests with the famous Death's Head patch, faces hardened by the road, and an aura of pure intimidation that parted traffic like a ship cutting through water. They were the definition of a life lived on their own terms, a brotherhood with its own code. As an outlaw club, their reputation was a mixed bag of documented crime and, surprisingly, community charity. They were known for toy drives and for violence, a contradiction people could never quite figure out. As they pulled up to the intersection near Sarah's corner, you could feel the world around them tense up. People looked away, clutching their bags a little tighter. The bikers didn't seem to notice, sharing a joke, their laughter cutting through the growl of their engines. They were just a group of guys, stopped at a red light on a Tuesday morning. But in the shadows, just a few feet from Sarah, they were something else entirely. They were targets. It started as a murmur, easily lost in the city's noise. But for Sarah, whose hearing was razor-sharp, it sliced right through everything else. Behind a parked van about 20 feet away, 3 men were talking. Their voices were low, and laced with a kind of poisonous excitement. At first, she only caught fragments. 12 bikes. The intersection. Won't see it coming. Sarah went rigid. This wasn't just some conversation. This was a plan. She focused, tuning out the traffic, the sirens, the chatter of people walking by. The men's voices became crystal clear. They were talking about an ambush, an execution. They laid out how they would hit the bikers from different angles the second the light turned green, a coordinated attack meant to cause total devastation. They spoke with a chilling coldness, like they were planning a business deal, not a massacre. Sarah couldn't see the men or their weapons, but their words were threat enough. Each syllable felt like a loaded gun. She sat on her cold sidewalk, invisible to the plotters and invisible to their targets, suddenly trapped in the terrifying space between them. She was the only person in the world who knew that in just a few minutes, this ordinary street corner was about to become a killing ground. Fear is a cold, heavy thing, and it settled right in Sarah's chest, making it hard to breathe. Her first instinct was pure survival. Stay small. Stay quiet. Stay invisible. That's what had kept her alive on the streets. And who were these bikers to her, anyway? Strangers. Part of the same loud, scary world that had tossed her aside. Why should she risk anything for them? But that thought felt wrong the moment it entered her head. Her mind was racing. If she screamed, the attackers might get to her first. She could try to find a cop, but by the time anyone actually believed a blind, homeless girl, it would be too late. Her hands were shaking. She thought about the thousands of people who had walked right past her, who refused to see her as a person. And then she thought about the 12 men on those bikes, completely unaware of what was about to happen. They weren't just leather-clad symbols, they were human beings. She could still hear their laughter from a few moments ago. In that instant, her invisibility wasn't a curse anymore. It was a responsibility. Because she had been overlooked, she had heard what no one else could. She had to do something. It was a choice she made in a heartbeat to trade her own safety for the lives of strangers. Pushing herself up on trembling legs, her heart pounding against her ribs, Sarah took a step away from her corner and toward the rumbling engines. The distance was only 30 feet, but it felt like a mile. Every step was a fight against the terror that was screaming at her to turn back. She could hear the heavy footsteps of one of the plotters moving into position. The trap was being set. The sound of the bikes was a deafening wall of heat and vibration. She had no idea which one was the leader, who she was supposed to warn. Taking a breath that felt like it was tearing her lungs, she stumbled forward, her hands searching in the darkness. Her fingers brushed against warm, worn leather. A vest. She felt the man on the bike tense up at her touch. She could sense him looking down at her. Leaning in so close she could smell the coffee and road dust on his jacket, she used the only weapon she had, her voice. It came out as a raw, desperate whisper, for words meant only for him. Run. It's a trap. For a split second, nothing happened. Just the idle of the engines and the confused stillness of the man whose vest she was clutching. She felt him start to lean down, about to question her. And then the world exploded. Gunfire erupted from a nearby rooftop and the parked van. The air filled with the sound of shattering glass and bullets hitting metal. But the attacker's element of surprise was gone. That 1-second delay, created by Sarah's warning, was all the bikers needed. Instead of being sitting ducks, they were already moving. Engines roared to life in a chaotic scramble for survival. Tires screeched as the bikers scattered, breaking formation, returning fire, and using their massive bikes as shields. The carefully planned ambush had turned into a frantic street brawl. Sarah, knocked to the ground by the force of it all, could only lie there and listen to the war she had started to stop a slaughter. The firefight was brutal, but it was over fast. The bikers, pros at the art of survival, fought their way out of the kill zone, leaving their attackers disorganized and exposed. As sirens started screaming in the distance, the gunmen melted back into the city, their plan totally ruined. A new silence fell over the street, thick with the smell of gunpowder. A block away, the bikers started to regroup, adrenaline still coursing through them. They were alive. Battered and bruised, but alive. Their leader, the man Sarah had grabbed, couldn't get the image of the terrified girl out of his head. The blind girl on the corner. She warned me, he said, the realization hitting him and the others. It wasn't luck. The cops hadn't saved them. They owed their lives to a homeless girl that, 10 minutes ago, none of them had even noticed. But their relief was cut short. Back at the intersection, one of the attackers, furious that the plan had failed, had spotted Sarah. He saw the person who had cost him everything and started walking toward her. Sarah heard the heavy, angry footsteps coming right for her. She was frozen in terror, with nowhere to run. Just as the man reached her, a Harley skidded to a halt between them. Then another, and another. In seconds, Sarah was surrounded, not by an enemy, but by a wall of leather and steel. The bikers had come back for her. The man who was about to hurt her was now staring down 12 furious Hell's Angels. He disappeared into the crowd. the lead biker got off his bike and knelt beside her. He gently helped her up, his rough hands surprisingly careful. He looked at the small, trembling girl who had risked it all for them. She couldn't see the gratitude in his eyes, but she could hear it in his voice. "You're safe now," he said. "We've got you." And so, the legend goes, Sarah was never invisible again. The Hell's Angels didn't just thank her, they brought her into their world. She, who had no one, suddenly had 12 loud, overprotective, leather-clad guardians. They gave her a home, not just a roof over her head, but a seat at their table. They became her new tribe, her found family. The girl everyone had always looked through had finally found people who truly saw her. This is where the story usually ends. It's a tale about the power of the powerless and the flicker of humanity that can be found in even the most feared and misunderstood people. We'll probably never know if a girl named Sarah really sat on that corner, or if those bikers ever rode into that ambush. But the fact that the story is still told says something important, doesn't it? It reminds us that heroism isn't about your status or your strength. It's about making a choice. It's about seeing the humanity in other people, even when the world tells you to look away. And it's about the incredible power that can be found in a single, courageous whisper. Stories like this remind us that heroes are everywhere, often where we least expect them. So, what do you think? Does a story have to be 100% factual to be true in a way that matters? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if this story moved you, please like this video and subscribe for more stories about the power of the human spirit. In the end, the legend of the blind girl and the Hell's Angels is a story about sight. Not the kind you have with your eyes, but the kind you have with your heart. It's the ability to see value in a person that society has thrown away, and the vision to see a single moment where one small act of bravery can change everything. It's a powerful reminder that no one is truly invisible, and that even the quietest voice can change the world.